What the hell's happening to Bitcoin? Everyone running around panicking. Should you sell? Should I sell? Have I sold? Epstein owns Bitcoin. All this craziness. And people are really losing their shit. What I'm going to show you in this video is going to blow your mind. And it's all based off of predictable patterns that we can look at historically that give us confidence to make high probability predictions into the future. And I'm not going to leave anything to emotion or fear or greed. I'm just going to show you what's happened, what's likely to happen next, and what I'm going to do about it. So let's get stuck in. So before I show you the good stuff, I just want to kind of see what's happened recently, right? So you can see that we topped out here on the 6th of October. And that was the highest point, about 126,000, I think it was. And we're currently down about 45% in this market, right? Well, let's just zoom out a little bit on Bitcoin. So this is the weekly chart. I'm just going to zoom out to see what's happened historically so that we can kind of get some confidence and some insight into what's likely to happen next. Because anyone who is an intelligent investor or trader will tell you the way we're able to make money consistently year on year is by executing a plan based on probabilities, based on historic behavior. So that's what we're going to look at right now. And this, what I'm going to show you here, is going to blow your mind. So let's just go to this previous low back in January 2015. Okay. And we're going to go from this low to the high, which was here on the 11th of December 2017. Okay, so between 2013 and 2017, when you had the new high, we've got this period here. If I bring on my rule tool here and I just go between here and here on this zone to see how many days that was, you can see it was 1,046 days, right? 1,046 days. So let's just say 1,046 days. Okay, so essentially what we had was 1,046 day recovery. Okay, then what happened again here is we bottomed out here on around the 10th of December 2018, and we had a new highest point right here on the 8th of November 2021. Now if we just measure this period of time and we go from the low to the high, would you look at that? It's 1,064 days. Okay, so I'm just going to write in 1,064 days and we'll go for the next one. Okay, so most recently, draw another one on and we'll go from the low where we had the lowest low here on the 21st of November 22-ish, right up to the highest high on the 6th of October, which is here. And again, if we measure that period of time between the low and the high, look, you're going to see 1,050 days. Look at that. I mean, that is pretty. 1,050 days. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay, so we're going to say an average of 1,050 days ish between these periods of time. Now, if we get the rectangle tool and go between the bearish periods, okay, and do the same thing, you can see that we've got the exact amount of time, right? So we've got 364 days here. We've got 300 and let's just test what this one is between here and here. Let's see what this is. 378 days. Okay, very close. So let me just color this in red, right? And that is a predictable pattern. Now, with that in mind, you can see that we are only probably 30% of the way through. So October the 6th, it's now currently February the 12th. We've probably got another 200 days, say, or 200 days or so before this bottoms out. So if we just copy this and clone that across and say, right, okay, well, if history does repeat itself, which it does, then the bottom, and you can mark my words on this, and you can come back to this in the future, in 10 months or 11 months or 2 years or whatever you might want to do, and this here will be the bottom. Okay, so the 6th of October-ish, 2026 will be where we see the bottom based on these historic results. So just that alone, before I go into kind of some other patterns within these periods, that alone should give you some confidence that history repeats itself. You know, this isn't luck. This isn't a coincidence. This is almost within 2 weeks over a 3-year period. every single 3 years. So that's number one. Let's look at some other patterns in here as well so that I can drill down and show you what I'm going to predict will happen from now until the recovery, and then what we're likely to see at the recovery. Now, there's other patterns that happen in here as well. So if we look at how history repeats itself following the high. So for instance, if we look at the February-March time here, you can see that there is a kind of a retracement, a rally, a relief rally, where people start to think, it's recovering, and they get duped into that. And there's about a 65% recovery usually in that period. So if you look at February, March time after this one, you can see that around February, March, we had this rally to the upside, right, into March. And if we look at the next one, you can see around February, March time, we had this rally here, right? Even if you scroll back, you can see here, February, March time, we had this rally right here, okay? Now, in February, March 2019, we had about a 90% recovery to the previous high. And when we did that, we then went into basically a year of decline. And the same happened here. We had a big retracement up in February to March time, and then we had a year of decline. Talking of declines, it's going to get worse before it gets better, judging by history repeating itself, because if you go into, say, May time in the spring, you can see around May, April, May, that's where it really starts to decline. So in 2018 to 2019, we had about a 20%, 19% decline, right? So in May alone, 2018, we had about a 19% decline. If we look at May 2021, we had about 35% decline. And if you look at May 2022, we had about a 16% decline. So 3 out of the last 5 Mays has had a double-digit decline in terms of percentage. Now, when you look into the summer and you go towards July time, July is actually prolifically the most consistently positive month in Bitcoin. In July 2015, we rallied 8.2%. In July 2018, we rallied 21%. And in July 2022, we rallied 16.8%. But where it really starts to get interesting is around October, November time, where we consistently have the lows. This is the bottom of the cycle. And as I said, from 2015, 365 days after the peak, bottom of the cycle. 365 days after the peak, bottom of the cycle, and so on and so on and so on. And this is where it will feel like the end. October is where we're going to start to see that early recovery start to take place if history is going to repeat itself. And this is going to be, in my opinion, where the next batch of Bitcoin millionaires start to buy in as well. The last thing I want to share with you in terms of drawdowns, because people say, oh, this isn't normal. Well, in this drawdown here, we had about 84% drawdown. In this drawdown here, we had a 78% drawdown. And if we go back previously, you can see even here in 2013 to 2015, we had about an 86% drawdown. So 86, 84, 78. And right now we are only at 45%. So not only are we looking for around the 5th to the 10th of October 2026 for the bottom of this recovery, where we're going to start to see this rally, the biggest key takeaway is if we're going to mirror, let's just say conservatively, we're going to go to, say, a 70% drawdown or a 75% drawdown, right? We've still got a long way to go. And if this is where the drawdown's going to be, which I'll draw on in red, we can pinpoint our recovery to right about here, okay? Which means we're going to hit around that 36, 40K mark before we start to recover. Can you stomach that? And hopefully, if anything, if this video gives you anything, it just shows you that you can't play with money with emotion. If this is keeping you up at night, you shouldn't be in it. Intelligent investors don't trade off of emotion. They trade off of facts and figures and projected outcomes based on high probability because they know what happened in the past. That's how intelligent investors make money. And whilst everyone's panicking and there's all these kind of rumors and conspiracy theories being made up, this is where a minority of intelligent investors come into the market and absolutely clean up. And this isn't hindsight. You can follow this along. I hope if you're still watching this in October, November 2026, or if you're watching it in 2027, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I hope this has been eye-opening for you, because it should have. And once you understand this stuff and you understand that actually there's predictable patterns that happen everywhere in the market, because it's all driven by human market participants, and humans haven't really mentally evolved for about 3,000 years. So when you understand that there are patterns in the market that you can capitalize on from creating consistent rules and trading, executing consistent set of rules around these patterns to make money over and over again, that's when you start to think like a real trader. And if you want to learn more about that, you can binge watch all of the trading videos on this channel, or you can go to tier1trading.com for our 12-month coaching and mentorship program. And if you're thinking about getting your feet wet and you don't want to go that far and that deep in, you can always check out my 30-day trader challenge. But until next time, take care, don't lose your shit, and I'll see you in the next one.